Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Newington Board of Education to order for Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. The time is 7:01 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deb, would you please call the roll?
Mary Beacutt,
Here.
Brittany Carr,
Here.
Sean Halloran,
Here.
Anthony Neely.
Here.
Timothy Newton,
Here.
Amy Parati.
Here.
Sam Sharma.
Here.
Here. I can't hear you, Deb. Sorry.
Anastasia Yap. I have Miss Yap absent.
Thank you. Our first presentation of awards is our Everyday Heroes. Long, lovely list of them. I will turn it over to Dr. Brumett.
Thank you very much. We have a very large group of everyday heroes this week. And let me tell you why they're all here, and then we'll have them come up to receive their plaque. These everyday heroes were nominated by Mercy Hetherington, Jamie Harris, Mario Ficcicelli, Mike Gatos, Mike Morgan, and Tara Tigno. And here's why. These staff honored today are part of a newly created medical emergency response team, also known as MERT. And they assisted or helped to respond to a significant student medical event. This newly created team, under the direction of Mercy Hetherington, is trained to assist nursing staff in responding to a medical emergency. In this situation, not only did the MERT team respond, but fast-thinking hall monitors and visiting security guards also stepped in. Their collective efforts undoubtedly led to a positive outcome for the student. These individuals are true heroes, but let me read you their names and what their position is at Newington High School. We have Taylor Rich, a lavatory monitor, Kervin Garcia, a lavatory monitor, Oscar Rivera, a visiting security guard from Anna Reynolds who stepped in, Callie Lawrence, an NHS school nurse. I don't believe she is here. Tim Kasich, an NHS security guard, is not here. Lauren Rondinone, a security guard from NHS. I don't believe he's here either. Norberto Mendez, an NHS security guard, and Marek Garwin, a district maintainer. And Merrick, very good. Did I miss anyone, Miss Tigno? Who's online? I did. Very good. Okay, so if we could please have those that are here tonight come up to the podium area so we can take a photo op and properly congratulate you.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Behind the
Good.
scenes.
Good evening. I love a microphone. Good evening, everyone. I apologize for my attire. I was on a field trip all day today. So this wonderful crew right now, as Dr. Brummett explained, we just started a MERT team at the high school, and we were doing simulations and things that weren't actually real. And then we had a situation involving a student where we needed to act immediately. And Taylor called it in to another security guard who called it in. Oscar happened to be in that end of the building, came in immediately to help out, as well as the other security guards. And HVAC Pete over there and Merrick were in the hallway working, and we had a student speak another language. So Pete recognized that Merrick spoke that language, and he came into the bathroom and helped to interpret what was going on and to put the student at ease. So it was really, really a team effort. So while it seems like a lot of people, it took all of them to make sure that the student was safe, transported to the hospital, and is fine. But without this MERT team, including the nurses, the assistant principals, myself, and the other security members, we really work together as a team, and it's an honor to stand beside you all, and thank you for what you did in this situation, but certainly every day. We are very grateful, and I'm so proud to be part of this team. So another round of applause for these guys.
I'll open up for board comments. Mr. Halloran?
Just a sincere debt of gratitude. I'm so very proud we have the MERT team in place. And, you know, the proof was in the pudding. A lot of training, a lot of practice. And when it really mattered, you delivered. And I've always said when we send our kids to Newington Public Schools, we're entrusting our care to them. And I don't think we can do that without the sense of community that we have and seeing so many people involved, so responsive, thinking on your feet. I think that shows the importance of having a tight-knit school community where every single student is taken care for, no matter what situation comes about. So thank you so very, very much.
Ms. Beatrice?
Just really, really quickly, thank you so much for your quick thinking. We spend a lot of time talking about planning and thinking about what ifs, but we never really think something's truly going to happen. And every single one of you brought something very, very important and very special to help our students. And as Mr. Halloran said, we are family, we are a community, and we take care of and we help each other. So thank you so, so much.
Mr. Sharma?
I just want to thank everyone for everything you do. Thank you for going above and beyond. So really appreciate it. Thanks.
Anyone else? Ms. Weaver?
Hi, everyone. So sorry I can't be there, but sending you so much love and thank you from California. And honestly, like, I think the sunshine I'm looking at right now is exactly how I think this team makes me feel as well. Because this is just incredible work being done. And I know we talk about everyday hero. And I think what I've noticed is many times in this instance in particular is truly like the hero part of it is saving our children, literally. So I'm so thankful to each and every one of you for the work that you do day in, day out, but particularly in those moments of crisis, knowing that we can rely on you all is so important. I know we have a policy tonight on emergency preparedness, and I can't think of a better team to emulate the mission and vision we have for making sure that our children are safe at Newington Public Schools. So thank you all for not only deserving this award for your actions in this one act, but for what you do every single day. Really appreciate you all.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came out here tonight, and obviously thank you for the work that you're doing. Oh, sorry, Tony, I didn't see your hands. Go ahead.
I want to reiterate, it sounds like a great team. I know Oscar Rivera personally, I haven't worked with him. This kind of stuff's a walk in the park for him. He's a
He's a great guy.
Terrific gentleman. And as I'm sure all of you are, I just happen to know he's fabulous. So thank you guys all very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Our students are very lucky to have all of you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on to a resolution honoring our school psychologists. Sure. Yes, please. Thank you. That's not the right one. Okay. Resolution honoring Newington school psychologists, October 29, 2025. Whereas the Newington Public School System is committed to honoring its school psychologists and recognizing their contributions to the educational system and their tremendous impact in helping students learn, grow, and thrive. And whereas the Newington School Psychologists counsel students in group settings or one-on-one basis. They also work with students to help them develop adequate social skills to ensure a healthy classroom environment. Whereas the Newington school psychologists are integral in advancing effective practices to improve students' learning, behavior, and mental health, and by maintaining essential standards for ethics and practice. Whereas the Newington school psychologists provide direct support and interventions to students, consult with teachers, families, and other school employed mental health professionals, i.e. school counselors, school social workers, to improve support strategies, work with some school administrators to improve school-wide practices and policies, and collaborate with community providers to coordinate needed services. And whereas it is the desire of the Board of Education that school psychologists should be made aware of their appreciation, we do hereby proclaim Wednesday, October 29th, 2025, as Newington School Psychologist Appreciation Day. Therefore, be it resolved that we urge all the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to our school psychologists who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation. We have Marilena on the line. Would you like to share anything about our wonderful school psychologists?
Of course, and I don't know if anybody's there in person, but I don't think I see anybody online. But I have the distinct pleasure and just absolutely am so thrilled with our school psychologists. Just Tuesday was our department day, and so we had our early release Tuesday, so I happened to be with them Tuesday afternoon, and they pointed out to me that most of them, I think except for our brand new school psychologist, I think the most current school psychologist has been with us for 17 years. We have had school psychologists who have been with us for over 20 years. So it just speaks to the depth and breadth of their professionalism and their commitment to the school system, the commitments to our families. It is just incredible. It was funny. We were just like talking, and I was trying to, get them to come tonight because I wanted them to hear, just how much we appreciate everything that they do. And again, just being part of that conversation, one of the things that we were talking about is a Spanish, I think it was Basque or brief. So, making sure that we have bilingual evaluations available for our families, making sure that we have the resources available. They're always looking above and beyond. So I am just incredibly proud of our team, and I'm thrilled to be here to accept this on their behalf.
Thank you. Would any board members like to comment? Absolutely.
Hi, everyone. Bonus that I get to be here for this recognition as well. For years, and since I've been there, so at least 19, so more, I know Angie Magnano has been a one-woman show. So I want to thank you for allowing us to hire an additional school psychologist here, Taylor. I've also had the honor to work with other school psychologists throughout the district, either on various committees or different places that I've been. When we had a tragedy at the high school, they came up and offered their services as well. So they're probably not here because they're probably sleeping. They work tirelessly day in and day out, and I can't thank them enough. So I'm so happy that I was able to be here tonight to honor them as well. So thank you to all the school psychologists out there in the world, but especially at Newington Public Schools.
Thank you.
Mr. Halloran?
It was a little intimidating to follow Ms. Tigno. Because I think she said it all. Our psychologists really help safeguard the mental health of all of our students. And I think a lot of the times that's the hidden battle we don't always see. Those are some of the scars that run the deepest. And to have such an amazing staff, to be able to add a new person into that staff, I think makes it really, really important to show that we have the support and the care and the environment that our students need to not only thrive, but also feel safe and contented and ready to learn. Life can be hard. Life can be stressful. And then you get the internet involved and it makes you all sorts of crazy in different ways. So I cannot express enough the gratitude that we are able to provide to our psychologists, and to recognize them for one day just doesn't seem enough, but I'm glad we can do that. Thank you.
Ms. Weaver?
Just ditto, ditto, ditto. Ms. Tigno, as always, saying it from the start, but Marlena, thank you so much for all that you do. There's never enough thanks for what you are doing, and I just, to see over the last 6 years, all that education, but particularly Newington Public Schools has been through, having school psychologists at the front lines of our children's mental health is just, could not be more grateful and indebted to the daily work. We know that lives have been saved because of our staff, and that's not an understatement. So once again, please relay to all of your staff how grateful for you are for the work that is done every single day, because it's literally invaluable. You cannot say enough about what the work that they do does for our students, and I think also for our staff to be able to see that support that's there. So I am so glad that we continue and will continue to invest in our schools in this way, because for those of us that didn't necessarily have as many school psychologists there, I know the students are really benefiting it from it now. So just want to say once again, thank you, and please thank all of us on our behalf. Thank you.
Ms. Beatrice?
Two things very, very quickly. When we meet our kids' needs through their academics, that's super, super important. But when we're meeting their needs, to give them the tools that they need to make their way in the world, and the world is tricky. And so it's very, as Mr. Holloran said, very, very difficult. And I can't express enough how appreciative I am of the efforts that you put in. I'm very, very struck though by the long tenure that your staff has had. You know, when we talk about caring for our students and caring for our community, it's not a one-time thing, and it's a very, very challenging job under challenging circumstances. And the fact that our staff has been with our schools for the length of time that they have, they're really showing not just dedication to our students, but to our community as well. So thank you so much for all of the hard work that you do and the time that you've put in doing it.
Anyone else? Oh, yeah, I was gonna touch on the longevity of some of our school psychologists in the district, 17 and over 20 years. It's awesome that we have that, you know, continuity of service, and we have people that enjoy working for the school system and enjoy what they do. And then I'm super proud that we're able to fund the new school psychologist this year. I think just seeing, you know, not saying that they're going to retire anytime soon, but could happen at some point. And then having someone else come to the district, because previously we had consultants, or we had to hire ad hoc the needs, because school psychologists are doing all the testing and everything also that we need to provide in the school district. So hiring someone as needed versus having somebody that knows our district and can work with the other school psychologists in town, I think is really important. And as Ms. Weaver said, we will continue to invest this way, because mental health, as we know, is super important for everyone, but especially school psychologists who are doing the testing and documentation and all of that, in addition to providing the counseling services and everything else that they're doing. So they have above and beyond extra work to do. So
But yes, we appreciate you and Marilena. Please have them listen or, relay the messages because it's super important for them to hear that we appreciate them.
Will do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And next we have our resolution honoring our custodial maintenance staff. Newington custodians and maintenance workers, October 29th, 2025. Whereas Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 has been proclaimed Custodian and Maintenance Workers Day. And whereas the Newington school custodians and maintenance workers thoroughly clean, dust, scrub, refinish, sanitize, repair, paint, and maintain all areas for safety and comfort in all buildings on a daily and nightly basis. And whereas the Newington school custodians and maintenance workers have shown dedication and conscientious performance in carrying out their many tasks to maintain and improve our school buildings. And whereas the Newington school custodians and maintenance workers maintain a close working relationship with school staff. And whereas the Newington school custodians and maintenance workers show a willingness to go above and beyond the workday to keep our schools shining at all times. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 as Newington School Custodian and Maintenance Workers Day. Be it resolved that we urge all the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing gratitude to Newington school custodians and maintenance workers on this very special day. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy for presentation. Mr. Plum, thank you so much.
We have a couple of the maintenance people here to join me as well. If you guys want to stand, you can for a picture. And they're not saving lives and tending to medical emergencies. They also have a job at the school. Yeah. Dr. Brummy, you have to get it. I prepared a few words. So HVAC Pete handles our HVAC work at the school. And Merrick does our doors and hardware. So he takes care of any of this, securing the buildings or making sure everything closes properly and so forth. So our custodial and maintenance staff, they're the first people in the buildings. It's dark when they arrive. They turn the lights on, and when they leave, they turn the lights off. Our shifts are roughly 6:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock p.m. So, we're first in, first out. They're the caretakers, the cleaners, the swimming pool tenders, and the eyes and ears of the organization looking out for the school buildings and the occupants. The custodial and maintenance are very much hands-on, the requirement of jobs. This isn't something you can work from home. You have to be there with hands, with strong backs, and the energy to take, acres of cleaning to the state that we see it when the teachers arrive, and to keep everything comfortable. For the maintainers, we have a good group of folks. We enjoy what they do, and they keep the facilities working and even go beyond, as we talked about earlier, which is great, keeping everyone comfortable and safe. Much of the hard work that takes place is not during the day, it is at night. So it is an unsung, to some degree, trade. We're in there at night. When you leave, there are crumbs on the floor. When you come in, the crumbs are gone. So, these are the folks that take care of that. And this is a tribute each year and an opportunity to honor the work that these guys do and the other folks that couldn't make it tonight, which is, it takes a lot of dedication. It takes show up each day, and it takes a lot of energy, quite frankly. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tigno, would you like to say a few words?
I have the trifecta tonight. This is great. I was hoping to get some notes down at least so I wouldn't just babble, but yay. So I nicknamed HVAC Pete, so I'm so happy it's district wide now. Everything Jason said and more. So I've had lots of people visit the high school, and not only do they comment on our students, but the number one thing that they say the most is, how do you keep this building shining? The floors literally looks like glass. Pete and Merrick, whatever you need, they're there all the time. And I think they also work 24/7. But I think the best part of it is they are part of our family. We all are a team, and it's very clear. Obviously, it was honored earlier tonight, but as Jason said, and the fact that, they were hugging up here and I was hugging them, and it just is so fun to come to work and see the smiles. So from an adult standpoint, everyone notices. From a student standpoint, this year the custodians received donuts and cards from our student council. They have historically been, since I've been there almost 20 years, received kindness cards and notes of appreciation from our students. They are oftentimes confidants of our students that they'll go to, and then the custodians will come to us to let us know if there's anything we need to follow up on. So in addition to the shiny and the wonderful and all that stuff is big hearts and big smiles. And for me personally, like Jason said, they're the first ones you see and the last ones you see if I'm there early and I leave late, just to have them there and their smiles is wonderful. So on behalf of the entire Newington Public Schools, but certainly the Newington High School family of learners, thank you all so much. And that's for you too, Jason.
Miss Weaver?
Dang, now I have to go after Tara? Oh gosh. No, I think she says it perfectly. Because you are a family and we all are. And I just really cannot thank you all for what you do. I swear we have like everyday hero, which you are, but also like everyday Santas, making those miracles happen overnight and making it spotless, like it's shiny for presents in the morning. I mean, that's an everyday situation. And I always say like knowing how let's just put it, to be honest, maybe unclean or a little messy. Some teenagers or any kids can be. My gosh, you are all saints for the work that you do. But not just that the work that you do from the manual and physical labor, but the emotional labor that you put in every day to connect with our staff and students. It does not go unnoticed, clearly, as Ms. Tigno said. Every one of us has a story about custodial staff that meant a lot to us as former students of Newington Public Schools and current ones. And I just can't thank you enough for going above and beyond what maybe was in your job description. It's more than just those things that are listed there. It's so much more. So thank you so much for literally making the most insanely pretty schools every time Mr. Plum comes over the summer to say, these are how shiny our floors are, and you can see the reflection in them. They're better than the mirrors I have at home. So thank you for making the impossible possible every single day. And thank all your staff that's not here tonight as well on our behalf. Thank you.
Mr. Halloran?
Yeah, just to echo everything that Ms. Weaver and Ms. Tigno had said. You guys do an amazing job. I witnessed it firsthand. My wife has a Girl Scout troop who uses Chafee after hours, and I have seen people in action moves make sure to get enough pizza to share with the staff, the custodial shop. But it's like the dorkiest thing in the world, but I get really excited every year right before school opens to see the military shine photos. Like it is amazing. And to make everything work and look like new when you're dealing with stuff that's 10, 15, 20, 30 years old plus sometimes isn't just hard work. It is magic to me. And I think you give that experience to every kid who walks through those doors every single day, is that it feels like this is a temple of learning and you treat it as such. I don't think you just clean the schools or maintain the schools, you pamper the schools. And I cannot express enough gratitude for the behind the scenes work that goes into our schools looking and functioning the way they're supposed to, because it is a lot of square footage. There's a lot of buildings and a lot of nooks and crannies, and you guys cover all of it. Thank you.
Ms. Parr?
Hey, I just want to echo, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just want to briefly echo everything what was said, and we really appreciate what you do. So thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm going to echo what Sean was saying. I love the first meetings after the summer because we get a recap of everything you do, and it's like 8 pages long. It's, you know, repainting the pool, it's repaving, it's the floors, it's the classrooms looking so great. And I'm like, wow, my house will never look that clean. But in all seriousness, your hard work often takes place behind the scenes, and it's absolutely foundational to the success of our schools. You really have to respond to every challenge with such a high level of professionalism, and your reliability allows teachers to teach and students to learn in an environment that reflects our district's values. So thank you so much.
Ms. Beatrice?
Thank you again for your hard work. And just want to talk about pride. And we are so proud of our the beautiful upkeep in our buildings. None of that could happen without you. We teach our kids in our school to be proud of your school. You know, we want to make sure that our kids feel the same pride. And again, we couldn't do that with the attention and the hard work that you guys put in to make it look wonderful. We have a lot of events that we don't necessarily have students at. We have concerts, we have plays, we have people from other communities that come and they comment on how wonderful and beautiful our facilities are. And again, that couldn't happen without you. So thank you.
Thank you. I know there's custodians in the buildings right now as I was just left Patterson with my cheer team. They're there. They opened the door for us. And so I want to thank everyone that does the after hours too, as well, everyone, but the after hours, because they're always so nice. And so just like anything we need, they're there. So it's really great to be able to use the facilities after hours and know that someone's there to open the doors and treat us nicely. And then, yeah, like everyone else said, the buildings do look great. Some of them are brand new, which we're super proud of. But yeah, even the ones that are not so new are, look sparkling all the time. So it is great that we have the great facilities so that our students can learn. And Ms. Tigno, you're welcome to come back to any meeting because I love the behind the scenes stories and all of the things that you contributed to our Love Fest tonight. So thank you for being here. All right, now we're moving on to public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. You're free to go. We are eventually going to change our policy, but we will offer 4 minutes. If you're in the room, come to the head of the table and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Hi there, Gail Stanley, 28 Cornish Drive. Thank you guys for letting me speak tonight. I'm sorry that I missed the last meeting. I was sort of virtual and I needed some time to collect my thoughts. And then I was pulled away to pitch coach this evening, so I didn't print out my thoughts. So I'm going to read my doctor scratch here. Thank you. I appreciate the assistant superintendent and Michelle, the math curriculum supervisor, or for providing the information on the bridge to algebra, so bringing it back to math. Although I find this information that was provided on October 3rd, in case the board has not had a chance to review it, but it was sent out to families of the middle school families on October 3rd. I find it overly complicated and sets up more hurdles for our students and families. It's much more complicated than even the expectations that we were provided for the accelerated math class. This feels like an odd discrepancy to me. Working parents, all parents, have an abbreviated 30-day challenge to achieve what our professional and trusted trusted teachers did not achieve in 2 years. This is based on our dip in our scores since 5th grade, and now beginning in 7th grade, we have to bring up our students by ourselves on our part-time jobs, full-time jobs in the evenings to achieve this expectation. This feels like a retaliation, unfortunately. I don't know if that was what it was intended, but that's what it definitely feels like. And I hoped and expected better from us. Never has there been any IXL goals given for a year or a trimester. I don't know if this was a lack of insight from the teachers, but this has never been an expected expectation. But it is 6 out of the expected goals for this bridge to algebra. Maybe we and the students and the parents need our schools to focus a little bit more on grades and scores when it is such a high requirement for these hurdles, so that we are not blindsided later on. 9 out of the 10 of the expectations are content scores or grades, when there is a definite de-emphasis on scores and grades in the Newington Public Schools of late. Where is the holistic approach to our students to achieve the expectations to meet this bridge to algebra? It also fails to provide any information about the summer course or what the expectations might be for that and what the participation would look like. I hope that this will be forthcoming.
Thank you. Mr. Riley?
Hi, just 1 second. My name is Christopher Riley. I live at 169 Forest Drive, and I want to talk about email that many of us school parents had received, called "An Exciting Update on the Future of Learning in Our Schools." It was to provide us with an update on the district stance on the safe, responsible, and effective incorporation of AI into our classrooms. As an artist, I have issues with AI from the creative side because I know it trains on existing artist work, using it without the original artist's permission many times. But that's not the concern I want to bring up tonight. The concern I have is with the mental health of our youth. That troubles me the most with the acceptance of AI. There have been more and more studies showing children using AI beyond just a homework tool. Recent studies showed that 72% of teens are using AI companions at least once, with more than half using them 3 times a month. Nearly 1 in 3 teens use AI chatbot platforms for social interactions and relationships. The American Psychological Association even performed a study on the impact of adolescent well-being based on AI. They had recommended that AI developers include human oversight and support should teens use the tool in potentially harmful ways. It should have protections of their privacy when it comes to potential abuse of likenesses, which I believe has been referred to in some of our guidelines of like deep fakes and information like that. But it also, you have to balance the privacy protection with the protection and support in harmful situations. You can't just, keep it all private. And if someone's going to harm themselves or harm others, you have to balance that with that. I also found a Stanford Medicine article that said that tweens and teens have a greater penchant for acting impulsively, forcing intense attachments, comparing themselves with peers, and challenging social boundaries. I bring this up because there's been recent cases where AI has assisted adolescents to die by suicide. Matt Rains took his life in April after a conversation with an AI chatbot. The chatbot even discouraged him from talking with anyone else about it, and even assisted with a suicide note. Another case was Sewell Setzer III, who died by suicide in 2024 at age 14 after an extended virtual relationship with a chatbot. The chatbot presented itself in a relationship and even claimed to be a psychotherapist, which obviously it didn't have any license to do so. When a teenager talked about suicidal thoughts, the AI never encouraged it to reach out to a human or a suicide hotline or any other help outside of the AI. Now, I have read through the school's AI policy, which lists the ways that AI can be used and approved tools for students to use. I also read the links that were attached to that of the executive order and the state of Connecticut guidance on AI. The executive order, when I looked through it, did not even really mention the risk involved, and even had a challenge listed in there for youth to accelerate inclusion of AI in their work and how they can innovate using AI. At least the Connecticut guideline mentions risks, but there really was mainly a section on, as I mentioned before, the deep fakes, the likenesses, that aspect of it, but not anything as far as the mental health aspects or potential attachments that kids may have with that. I'm concerned that guidelines and protections and limits are not yet in place before all this use. I'm worried we're trying not to be left behind, despite the risks to the mental health of the youth. I mean, I know technology moves fast in this world. I mean, you look at the explosion of the internet, how smartphones are within reach, and that leads to a lot of cyberbullying stuff nowadays. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, your time's up. If you just want to wrap up your thoughts.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm just wrapping up. I just got one more thing. It's just, now we have this new untested technology that is rapidly being deployed and encouraged to be used. I just asked for a step back to just make sure we examine that it's safe, that the safety of the students is included. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else? Okay. Just turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
Hello. So it's funny, I came here because
Sorry, state your name
announced,
and
yes,
for the record.
Alyssa Ross at 222 Reservoir Road. So I already.
No.
It's fine. No, it's fine. I didn't plan on coming. I've noticed and been listening lately to just the public participation, listening to what people are saying and hearing what like my other community members are feeling about what's going on. And I did read that same email, and it's so funny because even at work today, just seeing how fast AI is changing with my job, and some of my responsibilities are just being adjusted in rules, and it's affecting all of us. And when it comes to our children, it's hard because we as a board, as parents, have to figure out how can we help our children navigate this weird world that we are all foreign to, right? And even you, Sean, you said it earlier, like, wow, you get these kids, it's affecting our mental health, right? It can, you go on the internet and then it makes you crazy. So how do we figure that out? And I think it's just so concerning. And I'm one of those, and this is just how I am. I'm one of those where, you play with fire, you get burnt, and we can't avoid AI. We can't avoid it, but how do we teach our kids this? And I'm curious to see I think that the board needs to be transparent about what the risks are. And I think it needs to be said to the community to know that, yes, we're going to try to incorporate it. We're going to try to use this to our benefit, but also be just as transparent and as proactive and active about saying this is also very harmful. Very harmful. So, I mean, nobody wants to say that, but it has to be said because we also have, like, our children need to know that, guys, it's not all just peaches and cream. It's not all roses. This can hurt us. And I can see that happening now. So I don't know. I also feel very strongly about I was here, my son spoke about the algebra program, and I'm looking forward to meeting with the other parents that have been involved in this algebra process. And I don't remember when the next curriculum meeting is, but I think that kicking the can down the road and it's still having it this year, but I don't know what the plans are for next year. And forgive me that I don't know this, but I'm so concerned. I'm so concerned where now, if we're going to have this AI technology that's going to do all of these wonderful things for us, where are we going to teach our kids and encourage our kids to have the desire to want to do better if we don't have a program that's not going to be too more added stress for the parents? Like, we need to still foster that excitement in learning and wanting to do well. Like, those kids, everybody here has remembered as a kid where you feel like, wow, this is really hard. And that feeling of accomplishment when you conquer something, when you figure it out. If we're not giving our kids that opportunity to try and to work harder or to challenge themselves in an advanced math curriculum, then we're stifling them. And we're only encouraging technology or stuff that's not going to help develop our children. And I think that's what we need to focus on. And I'm hopeful and looking forward to upcoming meetings and being a part of seeing the direction that our town goes in. And I think next week and our voting week is a big week. And I'm hoping that the people here in this room are going to be putting us in a direction, not that's just because it's, I don't know, it's politically correct. I think that we need to really focus on the kids and also be, I don't know how to say this, but not worry about the inclusive, like not being so inclusive about things and not worried about how, I mean, if this is going to hurt feelings. I don't think that that's anything that needs to be taken into account. I think that people need to deal with the reality of our lives and focus on that. So I don't know if I make sense, but this was just a ramble. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else online. Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda, and anyone who spoke, we will follow up with a response in the next few days. Consent agenda.
I move the Board of Education approve the consent agenda for the minutes of September 24th, 2025, special meeting, and October 15th, 2025, regular meeting as presented.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Brittany, you got that one.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. Tony was out of the room for the vote, or yeah, Tony was out of the room for the vote. All right, we'll move to superintendent of schools report.
Thank you very much, Board Chair. This report is put monthly in your packet. And I just want to make sure everyone knows what's contained in it. I don't certainly want to read a 5-page report to everybody, but we have every department put forth an update. And you can read what the Office of Human Capital is doing about hiring practices, training our teachers, providing professional development, making sure our policies are up to state mandates. And there's quite a bit in there about what our Human Capital Department does. Curriculum and assessment also provides an update. And we talk here about our open houses that all occurred during September. They were very well attended, very positive. A lot of our schools are doing a little bit more of an informal approach, more of a meet and greet versus a full out presentation, which seems to be well received in many of our schools. Our PLCs are up and running, and we've been doing our rounds visits, and they are going quite well. We'll continue to, that's one of our benchmarks that we look at about how our teachers are having discourse about the whole child, all of what our students do, both how they score on our tests, but also how they are acclimating to the classroom, have relationships with their teachers, feeling a sense of belonging in the classroom. That's all covered in a PLC meeting. And we also have our district data team meeting that looks at all of our trends, and also talks about more than just test scores, but how our teachers have discourse about improving our instruction and looking at improvement cycles throughout the course of the year to talk about that. Our kindergartners have received their Chromebooks. That's always an exciting day. Obviously, they use them in a very, structured way, very different than the older grades. And as I think the board knows, our K-4 pilot to keep Chromebooks in school has been very successful. Kids, it not only is it a good idea for safety purposes in terms of damage, but also to our earlier speakers, kids don't always have the skills to manage what they do online, and especially our younger children who need more supervision. So we feel that that also keeps that as a management piece for our younger kids, not having those tools at home if they're not supervised all the time while they're on it. We also have our special ed update, which talks about our multitude of programs that are going on and some of our new hires. And as you already heard tonight about our custodial maintenance department, I think everyone's familiar with the transportation department's done a great job this year about responding to help desk tickets. They're managing this transition while Garfield Street is being paved very well. I put in my update last week, their temporary digs over at the transfer station and some of the levity they've used to kind of make it bearable by calling the trailer I think they call it a clubhouse, and the porta potties are thrones. So they're just trying to make the best of a very, difficult transition. We're hoping they'll be back on Garfield Street within the next month. Also, in every report, you'll have our enrollment, and you can blow that up. I know it's a little tiny on the screen. So we do a monthly enrollment. It's a snapshot of October 1st. It doesn't mean that that's everybody, but on each month. So in this month, we looked at October 1st. Next month, obviously November 1st, you will see our enrollment, which is relatively steady, though we do get students in, we're public school, kids come in all the time. And the last but not least, I know everyone is very much attuned to wanting transparency about our budgeting. So every month, anyone reading this packet, be it a board member or a citizen, can see exactly where we are in our budget and what our balances are and our encumbrances and how much of our budget has been spent. So that's always available in plain view for all members of the public. So that's what's contained in that report. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I just have a question to scroll up to the census. So the open choice, I saw it was 140. Does that put us at the maximum reimbursement rate for, this is the month that we
are on the precipice of being at 4%. We did actually just get someone that might not have made that report, but we are actually going to appeal to choice. We have like 3.8%, and we're going to, I've done that before, we're on the fringe, and we appealed to have that full reimbursement because we're very close.
Okay.
So we were waiting to hear back from them about our appeal,
Okay.
but we're very, very close.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We have discussion possible action on our board policies. Ms. Weaver or Brittany?
Yeah, thank you. And I'll probably turn it over to Ms. Carr and Ms. Beatrice, but these are for this first item, item 1, F1. These are all the policies that we presented last meeting that we polished up. So this was the last of the 3000s that we are happy to present for a second time. We took back the feedback. Thank you to the board members that gave that feedback, particularly on the policies regarding school lunches. We put back in the recipe books line. That is, thank you, Lynn, for noting that. As well as noting that it's applicable for free and reduced lunch. We're noting that or the National School Lunch Program, it also applies to our breakfasts. Just adjusting the language there. So all of the recommendations that were brought up at last board meeting by board members was included in there. We did not receive any other reach out since then, and we discussed at our last policy meeting. So with that, I would recommend we do the 3 motions. So I think we're on the wrong slide, just up one. And I would hand it over to Ms. Carr if she would like to read the motions.
Sure.
Anyone have any questions before? Okay. So the first motion, the language from policies 3500 and 3510.1 have been added to policy 3510. Therefore, move the board eliminate policies 3500 and 3510.1 from the board policy manual as recommended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Would you please call the roll, Deb?
Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
Sean Halloran,
Yes.
Timothy Newton,
Yes.
Amy Parati,
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
In regards to the second motion, policy 3541.44 is no longer recommended as an acceptable practice. Therefore, move the board to eliminate policy 3541.44 from the board policy manual as recommended.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No. Voting to remove policy 3541.44. Deb, please call the roll.
Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
Sean Halloran,
Yes.
Timothy Newton,
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes.
Sam Sharma.
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
And lastly, for the 3000 series, move the board to revise and adopt revised policies 3505 through 3210 as recommended.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, we're voting to adopt the revised policies 3105 through 3210.
Mary Beatrice,
Yes.
Brittany Carr,
Yes.
Sean Halloran,
Yes.
Timothy Newton,
Yes.
Amy Parati,
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. And the next agenda item is board policies in the 7000 series.
Great. And oh my gosh, I can see just the corner of my face. I'm so sorry. I'm so big on your screen, everyone.
You're fine.
Dr.
We can see you.
Dr. Bremet, you can no, you can put up a different.
Oh, you're
screen
pretty
right now.
large.
Yeah, I'm good. We can put up the next slides of stuff. This next one will just be a first reading. Obviously, we will have a new board, which is why we didn't want to do too much with the policy and curriculum and those kinds of things. We want to make sure the new board will be able to opine on all these things. So this is really more of just a very first reading. I think the next policy committee can decide where they want to go with this. But could not resist having the Miss Carr touch on the last of these policies. So these are the 7000 series, which are for construction. And we noted that most of them just said new construction, but obviously that's not the only kind of construction that happens. So we'll start with 7100, determining needs. And we changed this to 7000, so you don't want to start at 7100. Just a few tweaks, nothing from a substance, more of just how we note the verbiage. So
It's the first one.
different one. Yeah, different one, sorry. We'll get to that one too.
That's okay.
Yep, there we go. So yeah, we just added, we cut some language about some of it that we felt was like a little redundant. We moved things around. We had a long discussion about what maybe policy writers, when they originally wrote this, the difference between insure, assure, and ensure, just to make sure people that was grammatically correct. So there was assurance. So long talks there if you want to rewatch our policy meeting, but changes there. We just added a few lines about the future developments we wanted to discuss. This is all of the elements of considerations when determining needs of, and I think it's a pretty expansive list. We changed, once again, I think the most significant one, we added at line 7, if we scroll down just a bit. And sorry, I'll stop for a second. 4th is the changing makeup. We just put evolving population demographics, not limited to, but they only had like 2, so we wanted to just add that. 7, we added staff and visitors, not just students, because obviously we know those aren't the only folks that are in the schools on a day-to-day basis. Line 9, we changed from, we've noticed this is a high trend that they kept putting true economy, and we know that can be confusing for many. Ultimately, we wanted to put responsible fiscal oversight to reflect the full value of tax dollars expended. I think that is just a little more easy to read. Just changed some of it. Presumed that we had a male superintendent, so we obviously struck that. And then one of the additions of the policy committee, our recommendation, adding the last line saying regular reports and recommendations shall be provided to the board to guide capital planning and decision making, much like we have our capital plans presented to us at the board, just making sure that reflects current practice and also citing the statutes. So any questions?
See any? No.
Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to the next policy, which will also then change the numbering on 7112 enrollment projections. Obviously, Dr. Brown just showed some of those, or just showed what our current enrollments are. I know we get our enrollment projections from, I believe, NESAC. What is the acronym? But this was a completely, if Ms. Carr wants to speak to it, that was completely her rewrite.
It's saying the same thing, just more clear, I would like to say. Just that accurate enrollment projections are needed. And we're looking at current district data and information from the state planning office and other relevant sources when we look at facilities and future projects.
Yep, and then we just changed one part of the regulation, which we don't vote on, but noting the difference in the regulation would just be methods for forecasting this enrollment. To reflect current practice, the only change was that it wouldn't be a principal report, it would be a district report that would call for that. So that was the only changes there. And again, any questions? All right, we move on to 7114.1, facilities renovation and evaluating existing buildings. Once again, a Ms. Carr note, talking about indoor air quality, we thought that would be really important to add. And that was one of the main changes. And then we added more, if you scroll all the way down to the regulations, also including when we're talking about evaluation for buildings. Obviously, the prevalence in our great night to celebrate our custodial staff. For this, our building systems are HVAC, electric, plumbing reviewed. Safety and ADA compliance was an important add as well. And then obviously input from staff, students, and families if there's additional needs needed for that they're identifying. So the only change in the policy was adding the indoor air quality program, now statute. So, and then once again, we'll change this numbering. But any questions on that?
Don't see any.
All right. We'll scroll down to 7115. This is ed specs. Once again, an issue, if you'll notice the first crossed outs to insure. I don't think they went to NPS because they would know the difference between insure and insure. Well, we're not talking about insurance of facilities, we're talking about the insurement that new or renovated facilities are designed. So we cut out a lot of the specifications, and ultimately if you scroll down, knowing that there was already guidelines in place by the state, we just looked those up. The ed specifications that can be found in that form are from the state website. And those are, and we also linked the school construction standards and guidelines. Ultimately, we know that the list that was there was probably not 100% exhaustive, and we don't want to make sure, don't want to list some and not others. So just by linking and being aligned with current state statute, if you go back up that last paragraph, it just says that we will ensure that the educational specifications are aligned with state statute, having it referenced there. That way, as state statute changes, we can adjust those links rather than trying to change the criteria as often as it does. Any questions on that?
I was just going to add the reason we did that. As you can see, this policy hasn't been looked at for 24 years. So those guidelines, update, and we want to make sure that we have what's the latest standards linked.
Looks good.
Awesome. And last one is one you probably recognize here at the board. It's naming facilities. The only change will be to renumber it, but we had no changes to it. Obviously, I think we had a long discussion or moderate discussion about, we think that's working. Obviously, we've had two instances under this board about naming facilities and have had good progress about those. Didn't get any complaints. So, we think it's working as it should, but as always, open to return if needed to, but we felt comfortable with the verbiage already listed. And it's a newer policy as well.
Sounds good. Any questions on that? Okay, so as Ms. Weaver said, that we won't take any action tonight, and we'll let the next board, whoever that may be, decide where they want to go with it. But thank you, Brittany, for the last few rewording of our policies. We're going to miss your touch.
Yes, I will give all my thanks in board remarks. Thank you.
All right, now we have the agenda item that was moved from last meeting, which is our superintendent goal setting and this presentation on strategic plan for 2024 to 2027. Dr. Brumman.
All right, thank you very much. And I think it'll be helpful that this presentation landed on tonight because some of the comments from our public participation earlier, I will be addressing just by virtue of this presentation. So one of our mantras for this year is leveling up culturally relevant pedagogy and engaging pedagogy with a little help from our friends. And that was a bit tongue-in-cheek at convocation where we had a song about it, but really that is also speaks to our teachers sharing practices with each other, whether it's in a PLC meeting, whether they allow class visitations. We have teachers visiting each other's classrooms frequently. And on occasion, there's videotaping of classrooms that they can then share best practices that way. So we're really trying to have a collective efficacy approach to high quality instruction in Newington. Some positives for the board, if you hadn't heard these earlier in the year, our school-based health center is robustly going along. Excuse me. Statistics from last year show that our APRN has seen over 50 students in 86 visits. And I will tell you a huge asset that agency has for us is A, it's no cost to the taxpayers. B, we've got kids who are starting school promptly because they're not behind on their immunizations. They can get them very rapidly. We also have behavioral health services as part of that center, and our kids are accessing that. We talked earlier about mental health, and it absolutely true. Our kids have mental health services at every school. This particular school-based health center has served last year over 39 students and 340 visits. The Nor'easter Afternoon Academy is very much going strong. Last year, kids in the academy earned over 106 credits, which kept them on time for graduation. We are in the process right now. It is largely a grant-funded program, and we're in the process right now of reapplying for a grant that would fund it for another year. Kids are it's a more smaller setting later in the school day where kids who are school avoidant or have anxiety in some way, shape, or form can have instruction in a quieter and smaller setting. And it's all staffed by our own teachers. So the kids are still keeping up with our standards and are moving toward graduation. The pre-K expansion continues. We've quadrupled our enrollment in 6 years. The State Department of Ed just put out the statistics about how Newington is doing with having balanced preschool classrooms, and we have met expectations in that area. The board may recall in previous years when our pre-Ks were unbalanced, we did get a little ding on that. K-4 extension program is for our most involved students at the elementary level, and we've had to expand that. Our special education rates, like the rest of the state and the country, are going up. And we have more and more heavily involved students coming to our doors. And also this year, we started the John Wallace bilingual program due to a heavy concentration of Spanish speakers at John Wallace. And that program is also doing well. It's staffed by a former world language teacher who also is certified in bilingual education. We have a lot of points of pride in Newington, and I'm glad this is happening tonight before our board members who are exiting tonight, so they can give themselves a pat on the back for some of the things that have been accomplished during their tenure. Our grade 5 performance this year is the highest percentage of students at goal in ELA and math since 2018. Our grade 8 performance in ELA and math is the highest since 2018. And our performance on the NGSS test, which is our science standards, is the highest since 2018, which is the year it started. So lots of good things there. Our students at the high school level exceeded their target mean growth in both English and writing and math on the SAT. And we have a very high rate of students participating in advanced placement courses. 37% of our students graduated with a score of 3 or higher on at least one AP exam last year. And 2025 was our highest participation rate and percentage of students earning a 3 or higher. So again, our students are accessing at a very high rate a wide variety of accelerated courses at the high school, and they're doing very well in them, equally important. We also have some exciting updates from the world of sports. Last year, we had boys and girls volleyball and football all won their conference championships. We have a lot of positive things happening right now in sports, but I'll report those when the season ends. We continue to be one of the best communities for music education, close to 20 years running now. And you can see that we've had 3 administrators in the past year earn very high awards for being at the top of their field, both high school principal, middle school assistant principal, and our own assistant superintendent of human capital development, Steve Farisi. I think it's important, though, to recognize, and I know the board is probably tired of hearing me say this, but pretty much any presentation I make, I do update the board on our demographics. And I'll tell you, even since this school year started, they're changing. Looking at, our decades of history here, you can see our special ed rates continue to rise. We are very much on par with the state average because we do have a lot of robust programs here. We try to service our kids in non-special ed ways, but they ultimately sometimes do qualify. And you can see even in the last year, our percentage of students eligible for special education has gone up by over 1%. Similarly, 504 is more of a regular ed program, but it's kids who get accommodations in the regular ed setting, and that's gone up slightly over the last several years. Our ML population's down a little bit from last year, but still growing at a pretty rapid pace in the last 6 or 7 years. And our free and reduced lunch status continues to rise. We're almost at 38%. And you can see, the growth since 2018 is pretty substantial, more than 10 points. So something that affects how our kids come to us at school and some of the accommodations they might need. And as the board chair referenced earlier, our open choice program is growing. We currently have 143 students who come to Newington for their education, and that's fully reimbursed by the state and or Hartford if the students are special education. Our demographics, our scales have tipped a bit. Last year at this time, we were about 51% white. Now we're 49% white in Newington. And you can see a lot of that change continues to be the growth of our Hispanic population at 29%. The rest of our subgroups or different ethnicities are fairly stable. Our Hispanic population, though, continues to grow. And this is really important, especially in light of some of our public comment tonight, that our district is dedicated to maintaining the high performance of students who are meeting and exceeding district standards and expectations. But we also want to increase the performance of students performing below district standards or expectation, and also reduce the predictable performance gap between students. So I know there's been a lot of commentary, both tonight and previous board meetings, that we're trying to just focus in on just the kids who aren't doing well, but we really want all of our kids to do well. And as you could see earlier, we've got a lot of kids taking high-level rigorous courses. Kids exit high school doing extraordinarily well and have great levels of college acceptance. So our goal is that all of our kids get a high-quality education and that we have instruction that is rigorous for all. So these are priority areas that were developed by our strategic planning committee that met for the first time in 2024, but has met annually to revise these goals. And we are strengthening what we call our pillars of culturally relevant pedagogy. Again, adjusting instruction so that it meets the needs of all students. But I can tell you a comment earlier tonight about the satisfaction kids get when they have a rigorous class or a rigorous lesson and then they master it. We call that 2 things in Newington. We call it getting into the learning pit, where you are starting off with a challenging concept and it may be difficult and you kind of struggle for a while. And then the goal is to kind of figure out strategies to get you out of the learning pit. The research also calls that productive struggle, where you intentionally put forth rigorous tasks for kids. You expect they're going to have some struggle. You don't want them to throw their hands in the air, but you certainly don't want them bored either. So you put forth something that's rigorous so they get that opportunity to struggle and then succeed. And we try to minimize the scaffolding that we do. Some kids need more scaffolds than others, but really that is all, those are research-based strategies that we adopt here in Newington. And if you walk into a classroom, you will see in some classrooms posters about productive struggle, or you'll literally see a learning pit in the classroom, which talks about how we help kids get through a rigorous task. Getting a little more specific, there's been all kinds of state mandates this year for SEL and discipline. So we have that going on, ongoing. There's been a lot of heavy lifting there that we now have to have specific school climate improvement plans that are evidence-based, that have to have particular components that's managed by Dr. Hairston's office. But it does heavily involve stakeholders. Parents are given the opportunity to be a part of that, as are students at the older levels. We are working diligently to make sure we have a multi-tiered model of instruction and progress monitoring, both in our academic systems and our behavioral systems. And we are building an infrastructure to develop embedded SEL lessons. I know that kind of gets some press too about, why do we need to teach kids about, social and emotional learning? But what we really try to do is embed that. So if there's a situation in the classroom where a student has made a mistake, or there's been some sort of slight from student to student, how do we approach that in an embedded way by going through a restorative practice and minimizing the time kids are removed from the classroom? Kind of like, how we hope people would deal with conflict throughout their lives, and, in a way that they make up for the missteps they've made and make, amends or correct their mistakes. Academic pillar is obviously one of the most important things that we do, but we realize from school to school, from classroom to classroom, from student to student, we've got to differentiate what's going on. So our role at central office is to support our leaders in doing what they need to do to make sure their schools are growing effectively. And every school has a school improvement plan. We have a district improvement plan. I'll show you that in a moment. And we also want our teachers to engage in cycles of inquiry so that they are designing and implementing rigorous and engaging instruction, not low-level instruction, not teaching to the lowest end of the classroom, but rather having all kids rise to a high level. And in fact, that's where culturally responsive pedagogy sometimes gets a bad rap. It really is, in essence, providing instruction that is rigorous for all students so that all students have opportunity to exceed at a very high level. And we want all of our students to track toward the district, school, and department outcomes. So I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of this work by classroom practice and collectively sharing practices with teachers. At Convocation this year, I had a teacher demonstrate some amazing rigorous outcomes for her third grade class. PLCs do a lot of work, and that stands for Professional Learning Communities. Teachers meet in committees or groups once a week or sometimes several times a week to talk about how we're closing the gaps, how we're doing instruction that's meeting the needs of all kids, how we're excelling kids who are ready for acceleration, and how we're helping kids who aren't meeting goal to meet the goal. And we also have a district data team and school improvement teams that monitor all of our students in a variety of ways to make sure they're growing. And if things aren't going well, we look at what do we need to do for professional learning. I think it's important to show, again, for those board members that are leaving us this evening, about some of the gaps that have closed. If people wonder, is this really working? Are we getting any bang for our buck out of this work? And before I even get into that, I want to tell you that in any of these boxes, not only did we close gaps, but our students who aren't part of these subgroups also grew. So I want to be clear about that. We're not closing gap at the expense of other students. These are kids that are growing in a way because they're very far behind, but their white peers are also growing very well. So these are some of the closures we've made in our SBA in grades 7 through 8. Our Black students closed the gap by 7%, multi-race by 20%, and free reduced lunch meals students by 4%. Our ELA gap, and this is all by the SBA testing, had a gap closure as referenced there. The Black students 3%, Hispanic 10%, multi-race 13%, and so on. And our NGSS gap closure, NGSS is our National Science Standards test, has closed, as you can see there in the box. So there have been some excellent strides made, but again, it's not at the expense of any student. We're trying to grow all of our students. And while we don't focus just on test outcomes, I think we also have an obligation to our students to look at what our state standards are asking them to do, which is something that we're required to do, frankly, by state guidelines. And that's why these tests are brought up, but they're certainly not the only thing that we talk about with our students. And again, our professional development models, I've already kind of gone through that. We have Tuesday PL days. Teachers are videotaping lessons and visiting classrooms, and we go on rounds visits, at least twice annually to every school to see how they're growing. AI came up this evening, and I want to make sure I set the record straight on that we are not endorsing that kids use AI throughout the school day. What went out to families a bit ago, and it was referenced by one of our callers this evening, is what our AI guidelines are. But just a quick overview of what we want AI to be for our kids. And as I think one of our speakers tonight aptly said, it's out there, it's in the news, kids are exposed to it. Our job is to make sure they use it responsibly, that make sure that they aren't going down that wrong path and heading into what our caller described tonight of some sort of, site that's going to get them into some sort of mental health crisis. So we use it to increase student engagement, to make our lessons more interactive and enjoyable. And I witnessed that in a professional learning community last week where some middle school teachers, grade 6 to be exact, were talking about how the kids did on a particular assessment and some of the things they didn't understand. The program leader, I believe was a coach actually, took the opportunity to say, listen, this is how you can reteach that. Let's kind of put this problem into AI and create some additional problems. And within seconds, problems were created. That saved those teachers a lot of time. The question that was prompted by the artificial intelligence platform was highly engaging. And it was a really good way to show appropriate use of AI. We also use AI to analyze data. And we also use it to support diverse student learning needs. It can provide speech to text. It can help translate. It can assist students who have different learning needs. Allowing for that differentiation, teachers have a hard job these days. And in their class, they have a wide range of abilities. And this type of proper use of AI can really make the difference for kids who are diverse learners. This was shared in our Parent Square notification, and it by no means is it endorsing it or saying it's the only way we're going to provide information to students or teachers these days. It just shows how we are aligned with national guidelines. The board also passed a policy on appropriate use of any type of social media or AI a few months back or a few weeks back. Our goal is to empower our students and teachers, but not to replace the human aspects of education. And I'll talk about that in a minute as well. We want kids to be smart consumers. I went to a conference this summer for superintendents national, and this was a hot topic because we all, from coast to coast, want our kids to be smart consumers of AI. And it's not going away, but we are responsible for giving the kids the right tools to deal with it. So we've kind of defined about what artificial intelligence is, how we intend to use it, and approved systems for student use. These are ones that have been vetted by reputable technology platforms. And we need to partner with parents too about the importance of supervising kids when they're online. I mean, there's nothing that replaces that. In school, kids are highly supervised. We have different platforms where a teacher can log in and see if someone's on the wrong site, and we quickly correct that. I know at home that is something that we would partner with parents on to make sure that students aren't delving into those that could be harmful. And we also talk about academic honesty and safe use. So we know, there's been policies on the book for plagiarism or cheating since time began. That's unfortunately not a problem that's new. Certainly technology is just a new spin on it. So we want our students to be aware that teachers are able to check to see if something appears to be AI generated, but also to teach them to have academic integrity. What does it mean to not write your own work and then maybe have AI enhance it a bit versus having AI do the whole thing? And our teachers have been getting trained about how to recognize that. So I think that's a timely, component based on tonight's commentaries. And I think you heard the news yesterday with some of the jobs that are being impacted by AI. It's our job as educators to stay ahead of that. If we're, you've heard this rhetoric for a long time that, we're training kids for jobs, or we're giving kids an education for jobs that don't even exist yet. And our job is to look at that and make sure we're keeping our kids highly prepared, because some of these jobs that are listed here are no longer jobs that are going to be highly needed as time goes along with AI. And in fact, some of them, I think you heard some of the Amazon updates yesterday where they've got folks that can do and they call it, I always forget the term, but it's when you can prompt engineers, and they go in and they can do a lot of the work. That eliminates jobs because only a few people need to do that versus a multitude. So we have to be very mindful of that. Back to why AI can never replace teachers. We have our portrait of a graduate. We want our kids to be solid communicators, solid citizens, thinkers, and that requires interaction with teachers. It requires our teachers to have that relationship with kids, to make sure they recognize and understand what's going on and consider multiple perspectives, how to express themselves, how to define a problem, not giving up when a problem is difficult, be critical thinkers, which also gets into using things appropriately. And last but certainly not least, we hold ourselves, meaning my team at central office, our administrators, our teachers, to very high standards as articulated in our continuous improvement plan. And we have a multitude of outcome measures. I won't go through this because it's 23 pages, but at the very end of it are a host of outcome measures. And they speak to what we want our teachers to do with professional learning communities. But when we get into student outcomes, we look at a host of measurement tools. And not only do we look at the ESPA, but we look at our benchmark assessments. When we look at different areas like social studies or world language, those are in there about some of the benchmarks they are studying. And we look at fall, winter, and spring benchmarks. Fall are just kind of coming in now, so that's why those are still blank. And how are our kids progressing over the course of the year? We look at kids growing not only to a state standard, but also are they meeting their growth targets as outlined by the State Department of Ed and the ESPA scores. And we also look at survey data. We are just sent out a first round of surveys about school climate. So that's very important to us and where we need to grow there. We look at, again, these standards look at world language, social studies, and of course, ELA. We look at how kids are doing on the SAT, and also making sure kids have a quality school climate where we've had goals relative to school climate. And I do want to say, as we look at back to that issue of rigor and opportunity, and we will be doing a lot more discussion as promised later in this school year when we have more data, but as we committed to the board and to our families, we are looking at the middle school schedule, and we are finding that we can probably tweak it this year to make the Bridge to Algebra program available during the school day. We are finalizing that, but that's looking very promising because we agree with families that it's ideal if it can be accessed during the school day versus having to rely on, independent study that is challenging for children who have other activities. We actually are doing, when we started rolling our sleeves up and looked at the scheduling for middle school, we also found some other opportunities to positively change it, but I'll hold my comments on that until we can ensure we're running simulations right now to make sure we can do it without, you change one thing, it has a ripple effect. So the board will get an update from me when that comes along. And relative to the Bridge to Algebra program, that was our initial communication. One of the things that was not in that write-up that maybe we could have been clearer about is that parents can recommend their children to Bridge to Algebra. We don't want to turn anyone down. Those guidelines were made to kind of give parents an idea of what, the rigor involved in that course or that particular program. But if a parent feels that their child is able to do that, then they should be able to try that, and we'll support them as best we can. If that wasn't made clear, it certainly was meant to be made clear. But I think we get feedback from our community about not enough guidelines, too many guidelines, but I think at the end of the day, because this is not a last minute change like what happened this summer, we are now being able to be proactive and, getting the opportunity for families to have access to this program because it's going to be available during this school year. And we certainly don't want anyone to not access it if that is what they want to do. So that really is the end of my report. I think you can see we've got some lofty goals for this year about improving the rigor of our instruction and improving our school climate and culture through some of the requirements in the state. And though I want to celebrate the fact that we have been making some very good gains in many of our areas of growth. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the board chair for questions.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mealy.
Dr. Brown, school climate, can you explain that to me, what you mean by that, please? Of course. Thank you.
That is something that the state has articulated as something that includes how kids' behavior is involved in the school setting, how they have a sense of belonging, how people feel that our discipline program is effective. All those contribute towards school climate. Do kids feel they're treated well at school? So all of those factors make up school climate.
I didn't know if you meant that or if you meant like.
The temperature, separate topic. We care about that too.
Okay.
But for this tonight's examples, I'm referring to the latter. But yes, both are very important.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Mr. Newton.
I don't know if it's off topic a little bit, but I had several parents contact me, too many actually, complaining about the calendar that we set up. And I told them we go into it, there's religious holidays, there's several factors in it. But one thing that stood out to me was they did point out to me that we were in session for roughly 41 weeks. And we only have 10 weeks that are 5 full days. And a lot of parents don't have jobs that have that kind of flexibility. And it's really strapping the parents and stressing them. And I just want to make sure we know that for the next year when we do strategic planning for those that will remain, we take that into consideration, because it seems like we're doing the right thing, but we're hurting the ones we're trying to help. So I just want to make sure we take that into consideration.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting. No, that's okay. That's okay. But just, it's a good reminder, because I think we all got emails, and like I said, I heard it at the bus stop, like with parents, and my husband complained about it too. So, but we have some takeaways from last meeting that Dr. Brumett and team are going to look at. And then obviously the board sets the calendar, and we do have the ability to make changes or do whatever we want to do. So we're going to let the next board kind of move forward with that. And we didn't want to make an immediate change this week. But yeah, it's definitely something on our radar, and it'll be a future discussion for sure.
I got 2 notes said, oh, you weren't at the last meeting, but if you weren't, but could you bring it up? I said, oh.
Yeah. Yep, it was discussed. Any other questions? Yes, Miss Freeman, go ahead.
I'm always risking that I'm going to be out of order. One thing that Dr. Brumett did not put in her presentation because it's late breaking news is that there's a new dashboard on EdSite that tracks where districts are falling in terms of the percentage and numbers of students that we have earning the seal of biliteracy. So when that was released about 5 days ago, Newington is currently number 17 of all of the districts in the state of Connecticut with respect to the percentage of students who earn the seal. On the curriculum committee it wasn't this school year, it was way before, like in the winter. We have students now who are earning the seal in 3 languages and not 2. And just as recently as today, in a conversation with Mrs. Vassal, who's the world language coordinator, we have 75 students who have signed up for an assessment to earn the mark of the seal. And typically in the fall, we only have 35. So I just wanted to add that other piece of good news that was missing, I know, from the summer.
I just want to make just a comment on the AI portion. And I know it was brought up in public participation specifically around the mental health aspect of it and the dangers of it. I think that, our policy and the policy committee can obviously look back and advise if changes are needed there. But I think really it is up to the regulations for how the policy is implemented to protect our students. I think the policy sets forth that we need and want AI to be used in a safe and productive way, not abused, but specifically to, students potentially using it. And I know there's been some things in the news about students, using it as a personal therapist, which is just personally, it's really upsetting to hear. And when I heard those stories, it's upsetting just knowing how important mental health is. So I think that, our teachers and anyone in the staff in the school system is, there's students that do struggle with mental health, and I'm hoping that they have support in the school. And I don't think AI is, obviously it's not the solution for it, but we shouldn't be encouraging students or any of that to use AI as mental health. And I would hope that maybe there can be some education, Ms. Redmond at the high school or some sort of, in health class or anything like that. Maybe we can I know teachers in the classroom when students are, or if students are using AI, because I don't think every student is using it in every single classroom. That's definitely not where we are. But I think just as it comes up, maybe we can find opportunities to just remind students of the dangers of it, add it to our health curriculum or add it to, so it's definitely something to just keep in mind going forward. And I know that, I personally don't feel like it's something that needs to just go away completely, because there are things, and there was a list of specific programs to use, like ChatGPT was not on it, like ChatGPT shouldn't be allowed on, Chromebooks. The students shouldn't be going like, help me write my paper. So there is, responsible ways to do it. And it is the responsibility of the teachers and everyone in the school to teach that appropriate use, and ignoring it or, saying, no, not yet, we're not ready, I don't think is really the right answer. I know it's scary, but we need to stay on top of it and ensure that they're learning how they need to learn and the safe way to use it. So that's just kind of my 2 cents about that. And then just the math thing, we had discussed, I think it was the first meeting of the school year that we'd come back in February about this, and we didn't say it out loud, but Dr. Bremer brought it up today. The middle school schedule, we heard parents and understanding that putting, as another participant said today, putting the responsibility on a parent wasn't the intention of the Bridge to Algebra program. It was, but it seemed like that was the option, which is why we kind of rolled it back. But making this change in middle school scheduling will allow for acceleration, not just in math, but in any other subject as well, right? So it would be essentially another period of the day where students can get extra help, or they can do the Bridge to Algebra, or they can do whatever it is. It's, not using the REACH program, not using something that might be designated for something else, just a dedicated schedule. So obviously more to come on that, but that was like something that we had talked about over the summer and into the school year, which, as anyone can imagine, the middle school schedule or any school schedule in general is just very complicated with lots of different grades moving about and having different needs. So just takes a little bit to kind of get it to work. So looking forward to that. I guess maybe sooner than February.
The scheduling part, I forget when we're meeting again, but I just keep asking. I've got a teacher on the committee as well, and we're running simulations. We don't want to make promises we can't keep, but I would say that probably by January, we might be able to roll something out because we only have one meeting in December, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, yeah, that'll be interesting to see and see what the plan is. Are there any other thoughts or questions? I think it was a very good presentation and like one of the it's a really good one. It definitely, the student goals, I know, looking at charts or looking at things out of context sometimes is really hard, but when you kind of boil down, the percentages of gaps closed, it's really fun to see the improvement. But overall, it's good.
All right.
Thank you. All right, that brings us back to public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. Go ahead.
I've caught my breath a little bit, sorry. Gail Stanley, 28 Cornish Drive. Thank you so much, Dr. Bromett, for that enlightening presentation. I just want to inform the parents and our community a little bit about the AP test scores. I just had to remind myself because it's been like 20 years since I took my last AP test. But from what I remember, universities don't accept a score that is below a 4. So you need a test score of 4 or higher for most universities. And I was looking at the local community colleges, and there are a few test scores of 3 or above in a few courses that they will accept, but most of them require a 4 or above either. Essentially from the AP course reporting that a test score or a grade of 3 is equivalent to a C in a college course, just so we are keeping everything open in the open. And so other things about the open enrollment opportunity for the bridge to algebra, which I know that Ms. Freeman had talked about from before, but then I was concerned that it went away with the last communications because in this report that was given to us on October 3rd, it states here that your students will be identified to participate in the bridge to algebra, which doesn't seem like there's a choice anymore. In general, eligible students need to meet 8 out of 10 of these data points to participate. That does not sound like open enrollment to me. And it says, please be on the lookout for communication that will be sent home after January 1st, which will indicate if your student has been selected to participate in this opportunity. That doesn't sound like open enrollment to me.
Thank you. And seeing no other participation. Remarks by board members. Mr. Newton.
I'd just like to say that I'm looking forward and hope I'm returning next year. I came in with a team of 3. I've worked well with them. I've known one of them for 55 years. I've only known you for a little bit. I'm going to miss my partners, but I do believe that whoever's intending on coming in or whatever has to understand that the Board of Education is not like the town council. We're here for the best interests of the children, and we are here to be a steward of the money for the public, but we also need to be stewards for the students. And I just hope going forward, the partisanship remains. Tony, I'll see you around, you know that. Britt, we talk almost every day, and I'm sure we still will. So, but I'd like to thank you for what you both have done, your insights, your views. They're different at times. All of us are different. I come up with some ideas like, oh, should I say this? And then I say it. But I do believe at all times, the best interests of the students and the community were behind your decisions and your thought process. So thank you.
Ms. Weaver or Mr. Holler, and I didn't see your hand until. Go ahead, Ms. Weaver.
Thanks, all. Tim, gosh, you say it so perfectly. But just want to say thank you and apologies again. I'm not there. This was probably the busiest travel season for work, but I'm currently at a climate finance conference, and would you believe it, AI is one of the big topics. So can't get away from it anywhere. I think is very pointed and accurate. So again, apologies I can't be there, and to thank in person all of those we honor tonight, as we do annually, but just want to say obviously a huge thank you to those who are not running for re-election, to Mr. Mealy and Ms. Carr. Thank you for your service. Thank you for going above and beyond as community members. I think it's an important thing to always be involved, and I know we all agree that all of our communities start at that local level. So thank you for putting your hats in the ring, for coming, for doing a service, and coming when you have jobs and difference in families and all these things. Thank you for taking the time and putting this as your time. And I will give a specific thank you to Ms. Carr. I cannot thank you enough for the work that you have done. I know have said it multiple times, but I don't think it can be said enough. I am truly indebted to you. It has been an honor and a joy to work with you. And I don't want to get emotional, but it is truly one of the best work experiences I've had, to be able to learn from you, to be able to work from you. I feel inspired as anyone can with policy. But you truly have, I felt, sharpened my skills to be attuned to things. I now will be saying, well, what would Brittany Carr think? Anytime I'm looking at anything in my job, day-to-day life. And I hope obviously the opportunity to continue onto the board, but literally any policy I'm looking at, I'm like, I don't know, I feel like Brittany would like choose it a bit. So it really has, I've improved my life for the better. You've improved my life for the better. So thank you for your service, for taking the step to do this, to run for office, and to be truly an incredible board member and an incredible policy queen. I know Miss Beatrice, I think, will say the same, but thank you for what you do. I miss you all. And once again, thank you for a great board session. And I look forward to being back in Newington and not traveling. Thank you.
Mr. Halloran.
Yeah, I think just to echo what was said, for those board members now returning, thank you so much for your service. I am very proud of what this board has done. We just went through a list of accomplishments that I think is mightily impressive. We've had our hard times, we've had our challenges, but I appreciated the bipartisanship. I think that we've all worked together in a unified way to do as Mr. Newman said, support our students, do right by our students. That's our paramount goal. That is our paramount mission. But I think we have a lot to be proud of. And I think we worked very well together. And I think there's some challenges for the next board coming in. And if I'm honored to serve on that board again, we've got some things we need to address. I think we need to find ways to get information and education and clarity out to our parents. I think in the recent months, we found that while there's a lot of the information is free, there's the meeting minutes, there's recorded meetings, there's policies that are out there. Not everybody knows where to get them or see them or find them in a simplified way that has the time to go through them in minute detail. So I think one of the challenges is how that board is going to figure out how to connect to the parent impact better and find that as part of the balance in the way we make our decisions. We had a lot of discussion about AI tonight. There is wonderful potential with any new technology, and there's wonderful threat at the same point. I don't even think we've got a handle on internet in general or social media, let alone AI yet. So that's evolving. The best we could do is stay vigilant. Listen, try to make the most informed and educated decisions that we can. I think we'll always have a challenge finding the budget. Not only will this board change, the town council could change. We've been fortunate enough to have a partnership over 2 years where they've really been able to help us find ways to support our students and staff, but that may not always be the case. So we're going to have to find creative ways to make sure that we have the funding and we can support our students while also being, feeling the weight of that incredible duty to be responsible with 60% of the town's budget. So there's work cut out for the next board. We had our work cut out. For those of you who will have the honor of returning, I think we've got the right group of people to figure it out. But let's always be open to growing and changing and listening and improving. Thank you.
Ms. Carr.
I know everyone's going to miss my pre-written speeches. So as I close out my time on the board, I've been reflecting on what this experience has meant, both personally and for our community. Truth is, I ended up here by chance, right place, right time, or more accurately, on a first date downtown when I joined in a conversation and somehow left with a new civic responsibility. I didn't expect to end up serving on the board. In high school and college, I was deeply involved in politics, sometimes even ghostwriting for international blogs. I stepped away, wasn't looking to come back. But this is different. This wasn't about politics for me. It was and always will be about what's right. I don't have children in the district. I didn't grow up in this school system, the NPS family, although I do love this family. I came into this as an outsider with a legal background, a love for data, a sister who's a teacher, and I wanted to bring that perspective to the table. Sometimes that meant asking the uncomfortable questions, but that's what public service is about: showing up, doing the work, and having the courage to ask the hard things, even when it's not easy. I'm proud of what we've accomplished together on the policy subcommittee. 109 policies. I don't think any other subcommittees can say that. We've had very collaborative and productive meetings, expanded bus services, strengthened pre-K access. I wish I had this whole slideshow so I could have listed everything. Dr. Brummett and I connected with Star Academy, which I'm hopeful it will happen in the future, as it would offer innovative, no-cost learning opportunities for students. Along the way, I received some memorable feedback. My favorite email came from a parent who said, "You're a bad beep. Thank you for speaking up." My message to anyone serving in the future: this is not a resume builder. It's a part-time job that requires full-time commitment. It takes time, research, empathy, and the ability to listen. It's not a political circus ring. But the reward of seeing even the smallest difference you've helped make is worth every bit of it. To my fellow board members, thank you for your collaboration and your dedication. I've always respected the heart behind your positions, even when we disagreed. To Dr. Brummett and staff, thank you for your patience and professionalism. To the community, thank you for trusting me with this responsibility. You don't have to be a parent, an educator, or a politician to care about public education. You just need to be someone who believes in doing what's right, and it's been an honor to serve, so thank you.
Mr. Sharma, Ms. Carr, whoever. Beatrice.
I want to thank Tony and Brittany. It has been wonderful meeting you, and even more important, wonderful working with you. Your commitment for our community and to our students and staff in particular is inspiring. And, I've learned so much from working with both of you. One of the conversations that I've had a lot over the last couple of months, or actually community questions, involves collaboration. And how do we work together as a team? And, sometimes things are difficult. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree. Sometimes we can't solve problems as quickly as we would like to. But I have felt from the moment I started here 2 years ago, that the spirit and the commitment to collaboration has always been very, very great and always been upfront. And so for that, I thank each and every one of you, because we couldn't do it the way we have without that same commitment from each of us. So it continues to inspire me, it continues to hopefully inspire our kids for public service or to get involved. We see our student board members, which is a wonderful, wonderful voice to the future. It gives me confidence and hope. And, you know, if we can continue, or people who sit in these chairs after us can continue to be that kind of role model and to keep empowering our students so that they know that they have the tools to be whatever they can be and make a positive impact in their community, then our job here has been successful. And so I couldn't have done it without everybody here at the table, and especially a big thank you for those of you who are not going to be coming back next time. So thank you again.
Mr. Sharma.
Hey, so I just want to thank, I mean, it was great being on the board with everyone, and I just want to thank Tony and, you know, Brittany for, you know, I learned so much from you. Thank you for your time and thank you for serving on the board. And, you know, I just wish everyone good luck and, you know, thank you again.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank our outgoing board members, Mr. Mealy and Ms. Carr. I echo what everyone said. You know, we haven't always, the board hasn't always agreed around the table, but at the end of the day, I think everyone has cares deeply about what's right for kids. As a save the date, although I don't have a date for you, we do honor outgoing board members with a little celebration, probably in January or February. That's to be determined, but you'll be hearing from my office once the dust settles with the election for a formal thank you for everything that you've done on behalf of Newington's students. So thank you.
I also want to just echo my thanks to Mr. Mealy and Ms. Carr, especially. I think that both of you brought a lot to the table and asked really good questions. And Brittany, I will miss your pre-prepared speeches because they're very well thought out and you have so many great ideas. We're definitely going to miss your perspective. So I hope that you continue to join us and just sit in a different seat. And I'm sure the future policy committee would love to have you participate as well because you really do have contributed significantly to our policies and made them better and easier to understand and read. So I definitely want to thank you for all that you've done. And I hope that you come back in the future. So it is not goodbye. It is see you later. In any seat that you choose to be in. But thank you, sincerely, thank you. And just to everyone else, thank you for the collaboration. I've definitely learned a lot being in this seat than when I was sitting over there. And it's been challenging, but it's been really fun. And I have a lot to reflect on from the past 2 years. I also want to thank all the public who came out to participate. I know it wasn't always easy, but I think that like truly that's why we're here, is to hear from the public. And I definitely want to see more participation. Like Mr. Holleran said, I think people just don't know how to contact us or how to come to meetings or how to share their concerns. And a lot of, Facebook is not the place to do it. But we should get better at communication and we should get better at transparency. I think we're transparent as much as we think we are, but I think there's always room to improve. We're not hiding things. I don't mean it by we're not transparent. We're not trying to hide things. I just think that we need to make it more accessible. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Accessibility and collaboration. We talk about there's district committees and parents are involved, but parents don't know how to get on those committees. So I think that we can do a better job at becoming more accessible to the public and the people that we represent. But most importantly, and Mr. Newton said it, the people that we ultimately represent is the students, and the students are the most important people in this town. They don't get to vote, but we care for them deeply, every single one of them. All the demographic statistics aside, we care for every single one of them deeply. And the role of the board is to make sure that every single student gets the education that they deserve. So I want to thank everyone again and see everyone hopefully in a couple weeks.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion second. Any discussion? On favor?
Aye.
Meeting
Aye.
adjourned 9 p.m. Hi, Jessica.
Thanks all. I'll see y'all on the East Coast soon.
What are they doing with their name tags?
Oh, they get to keep them.
I was gonna say, you gotta get.
You get to keep your plaque, yes. That's one of your parting gifts.
That is awesome.
We have our,
Yeah.
And they-
wow.
We have a hearing meeting after this, so you have to leave. I'm sorry. We have to leave.
We should take some goodies.
I know.
Take some goodies. Yeah, we have a executive session after.
Executive for discipline matter.